Hi, I want to talk today about being an online entrepreneur with online business and also loving to travel. Now, I live in New Zealand, which is probably where lots of you want to travel to. And I spend quite a lot of my time planning trips to travel out of here because I absolutely love it here in the summer, but we have a very long winter and I'm not really a big skier and I live in a very cold ski town. So I spend quite a lot of time designing my business in a way that allows me to travel. And I think I've become a bit of a pro at traveling through my business. And so thought I'd share some of the things I've figured out here. So the first thing is obviously the design of your actual business. If you've got different meetings with clients face to face on a regular basis, that's going to be really hard to get away from. If you've got an agency where you can do everything online, you can travel and keep working, but you're still kind of working while you're traveling. And what I really like when I'm traveling is to really embrace the place I'm in and turn off all the tech and enjoy a holiday. So in the pursuit of the, dreamy lifestyle of having as many holidays as I'd like in a year and as much international and local travel as I can fit in, there's a bit of a constraint really, which is just time and how long I want to be away from home for. But it's certainly not at all constrained by the business. So what I've done is a few things that set it up so I could travel lots while I've got my online business. And one of the big head starts you really have with an online business is that you're earning USD. So living in New Zealand, if I was traveling off to Europe on my summer holidays in August when the rest of Europe's also on holiday and it's super expensive, my little New Zealand dollars wouldn't get me very far, sadly. But earning USD is one of the big advantages that lets you travel anywhere with a great exchange rate. So that's an easy first point to make, that earning through an international business can help you travel. It also lets you live anywhere. I'll talk about where you live in another video. This is just about having vacations and holidays. So another thing I do is a lot of my business expenses just go through a credit card that quietly clocks up air points. And so I've just booked my next trip to Europe just on air points. So I haven't had to pay for those tickets. They've just come through my business credit card, just through ad expenses or my Amazon ads and things run on my Visa card. And you'll have to research which scheme and points system works best for you. And whether insurance is included and things, but I've got a pretty good scheme going with collecting points for travel, and that's my favourite luxury. I could collect points and spend them on wine or shoes, I'm sure, but I like spending my points on travel. And with a really long winter here, I live in a ski town and it's freezing in winter. I like to plan trips to basically have an endless summer. So every year I have a good 6 weeks in Europe. So this year I had 4 weeks where I was in Sardinia with my partner. We went to Paris, we then went to Morocco, and then we started in Spain as well. So we had quite a big trip that time. I've had another trip to the Australian outback with my family. So that was a 12-day trip. And I've had a few more trips as well. I had another trip to Melbourne in Australia to meet with some people about business stuff then. And then obviously the trip goes through work. I do some meetings, but go to some Melbourne comedy club on one of the evenings and sort of have a bit of fun time on my travels too. And then there's things like conferences, which are a bit of a hybrid. So there was actually a conference in Istanbul I was meant to be at next week, but I decided not to go. I've just done quite a lot of travel this year, and it's coming into spring. It's quite nice weather here, so I'm feeling a little bit less wriggly than when I thought I'd go to a conference in Turkey. And it's sort of marginal interest. I kind of wanted to go, but also got a little bit busy, so I've let that one go. So the way I do it is I travel economy. I keep my costs down. I don't do business class. I don't have any lie flat beds apart from when I get a free upgrade. What I do is I go economy, and I book a little bit extra, pay a little bit extra by booking an exit row, and I always get a window seat. And then my little travel hacks, I'll make another video on, but I basically always travel hand luggage only. The last trip I've booked is to Paris, so I've got a month in Paris next year, so I've just booked an apartment for a whole month through Airbnb, and the flights were free through Airpoints. The main cost is my dog going into kennels for a few weeks, which is a bit sad. Don't like leaving her, but she's got a really good place to go, and the Airbnb is really reasonable because it's for such a long stint. Plus I can work there, it's got Wi-Fi, I can cook all my meals, not that I probably will, but if you go for a long trip and really set up it to be self-sufficient, not eating out 3 meals a day, not having to do all the tourist stuff with all the other tourists. So I'm going in June when it's not kind of peak season yet in Europe. So I try and travel away from the main tourist traps and outside the main peak seasons, and then things are a little bit less hectic, because I do hate getting stuck between mobs of people getting off cruise ships and small, narrow European streets. Makes me get a bit grumpy trying to overtake them. So yeah, there's always a few logistics to sort out. I need somebody to feed the chickens and collect the eggs, and putting the dog in kennels. So it's not something I want to do 10 times a year, but certainly my business lets me travel 4 or 5 times a year. And I always do some trips just with the children. We always have a dance camp thing for my daughter in the South Island of New Zealand for a week every July in one of the school holidays. And so travel's brilliant. So the way I keep my business running when I'm travel is, at the start of the year, I look at, the deliverables I've got to be around at home for. I don't like teaching when I'm on the road. I like to have really solid Wi-Fi, be at my home base, know that, I've got my big screen, my microphone, everything's set up at home for those teaching big days. So I plan the calendar for the year, basically. It's going to shift around a bit, but I basically lock it in. Know when the kids' school holidays are, know that there's some quarterly events and some monthly events. There's some big annual thing in December we always like to do. So an online education business is great because you're in charge of the teaching schedule, you're in charge of time zones, and you can also get help delivering while you take cover. You can pre-record things if you're going to be away for a regular slot. You can also bring in a guest speaker. That can be a good way to do it. But really, if I'm away, I like to pre-record and pre-load it up and let people know I'm going to be away. And sometimes you just have to look after your own schedule and, make sure that you've got your business stuff running smoothly, and then just see a gap and take it, because if you don't give yourself a holiday, nobody else will. So I like to travel really light. I don't do super fancy 5-star hotels all the time. I usually do kind of more independent places and smaller ones. So I don't tend to collect many points through the big chains. I don't do Novotels or Accors or anything like that. I try and stay in interesting old places often, especially in Europe. And I've had very mixed luck with Airbnbs. I'd rather be in a small boutique hotel in a good location generally. And I always travel hand luggage only, absolute non-negotiable, always hand luggage only. Couldn't be the queen of the capsule packing wardrobe, and got really good at that, so never take too much. And actually, I don't even take my laptop. I've got my online business running so that I can do the whole thing off an iPad, which is great, because a laptop bag's such a lot of extra volume and chargers and cables over what an iPad would be, which is, the same as your iPhone cable and charger, and just fits in the side of a little bag. So travel is very good for the soul. It's very good for creativity. I have lots of my best new ideas while I'm traveling. It keeps me with something to look forward to. So when I'm at home and working and I know I've got a trip coming up, it helps me do like a 12-week push. And then I have something that's a good break to look forward to and getting away from it all. So I think life is better to do as a series of sprints rather than a big marathon. I find just drudgery and every day looking the same would be a bit boring. I'd rather have a block of work and then a block of something really fun to look forward to. Sometimes I travel on my own. I'm really, really happy traveling on my own. Wouldn't go anywhere too dangerous. There's lots of places I'd love to visit, but they're a little bit war-zoney at the moment, so keep clear of those, and kind of kicking myself I didn't go sooner before things kicked off there with turmoil from political and other reasons. So always just such a joy to travel. Never come back from a trip wishing, I'd got back sooner or hadn't gone. I always love being away. And sometimes there's challenging moments when you're away, or when you're jet lagged or flights get delayed. There can be some exhausting things, but it's just my favourite thing to do. And I think because I'm originally English but live in New Zealand, I always love to get back to Europe. And it's such a long flight from New Zealand. It's basically 30-something hours of non-stop travel to get there. And I live in this tiny town in the South Island, so I've got to drive over a mountain range, then get a domestic flight. It's like 2 hours, and then start getting out the country. So it's a bit of a haul to go anywhere. So I make them quite long trips. I get really organised for them and let everybody know the logistics. And sometimes children or just me, or sometimes me and my partner. So all sorts of combinations of who's on the trips. But what I really like is that the income's steady. So the Kindle ebooks are selling wherever I am in the world. The coaching course I can do preferably from home, but I can set the schedule that they're pre-recorded, or I've got a guest speaker for when I'm away. And then make sure I'm home for the big chunky events where I have to really be on my A game and have all the tech and all the slides and all the Zoom settings for guest speakers or keynote speakers or Any events that we're running that are a bit more interactive, I like to do those at home. So travel is so fun. I can't imagine not traveling. It is a big expense and it is a really big luxury. And I also read a book called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, which I can really recommend. And in Die with Zero, it's quite an extreme philosophy, but the summary of it is that you basically see a lot of people who work too hard for too much of their life and put off things like traveling until they retire, or die with $1 million in the bank because they worked until they were 70, but they could have actually just stopped working at 60 and enjoyed themselves, and not died with $1 million in the bank and actually not done those 10 years of work they didn't really love doing. So it's quite an extreme view the way the book's written, but I think a moderate take on that is to enjoy life and do the things you want to do while you can do them. You never know when something might happen to your health or your partner's health and you can't do that trip to Marrakesh, or you don't want to go and spend a month living in Paris up 6 flights of stairs. But I can't think of anything more fun than that right now to do. So I get lots of inspiration for business, talk to different people. It just shakes things up and keeps your ideas and, thinking and energy fresh and sparky, because you're exposed to such different things and different people and different food and different clothes that people are wearing, walking around, and great people watching, and great to see history and see the culture of different places. So very enriching. Not totally expensive if you can make your business work for you a bit, and needs a little bit of organisation on the home front to be able to lock up and leave, and I just absolutely love it. So the big thing is really having the most passive income streams you can. If I've got investment properties, I can go travelling. If I'm a real estate agent and have to do home viewings every Wednesday, every Saturday, and meet potential listing people all the time, I cannot get away. It's impossible. If I stop working, not only do I lose sales at that time, my whole chain, my whole pipeline breaks of all the things that would be on. There's just no gap long enough to go. So deliberate design of your business and your source of income to allow you to travel is time very well spent. And I'd love to actually do a whole YouTube channel just about traveling. I just love travel. So I shall, on this channel, share some more bits and pieces around how I travel, where I like to go. I've done all sorts of interesting things over the years. We lived in Bali for 3 months, and I worked in a co-working space there, which was quite fun. I just sold a business and I was figuring out what to do next in life, and that was a bit of an adventure. And then I've done, I've got a sister in London. When I go and visit her, I'll do a little bit of work on the road, but basically just be on holiday. And there's a lot of conferences that are held in nice places where you can do kind of a hybrid work and holiday trip. So there's ways to do it, and everyone can be a bit creative how they make it happen. But you could live in an RV and tour around national parks. I mean, with Starlink and much better Wi-Fi options now than there were a few years ago, you can actually run your business from anywhere you want, on a boat, in the national parks, in an island in Indonesia, surfing, or you could go to India and do yoga retreats and do an hour of work a day and keep your business rolling. So you need to just design a good business, and then you get to have a really high quality life with all these amazing luxuries and opportunities and exciting adventures on tap. So I'll talk more about how I travel in a bit more detail in another video, but it's the best part of my lifestyle. I absolutely love it. I love my home life, but I also love going away, and then I appreciate my home life more when I've been away and come back to it. So it's a great thing all around. Okay, see you soon.